Danno O'Mahony was an Irish professional wrestler who became one of the top stars of his era. He was known for his impressive strength, technical skill and aggressive wrestling style, which made him a formidable opponent in the ring. O'Mahony won numerous championships and was particularly successful in the American Wrestling Association, where he held the heavyweight championship for more than a year. Danno's signature move, the Irish Whip, became a staple in the sport of wrestling and is used by wrestlers all over the world to this day. Danno O'Mahony was born in Dairleen Lomond near Ballydehob, County Cork, Ireland on June 29, 1912. Ballydehob, or Bail Áha an Dáhab, meaning mouth of the two river fords, is a coastal village in the southwest of County Cork, about 34 miles from Ireland's most southern point of Mizen Head. O'Mahony was one of 8 children born to parents Daniel and Susan O'Mahony, who were farmers, and at his baptism his priest is believed to have said he was the strongest child he had ever seen. Growing up in rural Ireland, O'Mahony developed a strong work ethic and a love for sports, particularly wrestling and weightlifting. Danno O'Mahony joined the Irish Defence Forces in 1933, where he distinguished himself as an athlete by breaking many military records for the hammer throw and the 56-pound weight throw, which remained unbroken until the 1990s, almost 70 years after he set them. He also wrestled and boxed while in the army, with his style focusing heavily on stand-up grappling and throws. 6 months into his military career, he was discovered by wrestling promoter Jack McGrath, who signed him up and secured his release in the army, and after some training in London, Danno went on to have several fights in the minor circuit, with his first fight being against the highly rated Ed Strangler Lewis. Amazed by Danno's strength, McGrath took him to the United States, where he met Paul Bowser, who signed him up to a 5-year contract said to be worth around $100,000. O'Mahony quickly made a name for himself in the wrestling world, thanks to his impressive speed, strength and technical skill. He was known for his aggressive wrestling style, which involved using powerful throws and holds to overpower his opponents. In his debut fight in America against Ernie Ducek, the bout turned into a 2-on-1 brawl when Ducek's brother Rudy jumped in. However, to the crowd's delight, O'Mahony knocked both brothers down along with the referee. O'Mahony became the biggest draw in the sport by appealing to the large Irish communities across the US, and soon became a sensation amongst the Irish in Boston who flocked to see him fight. He continued to work his way up through the ranks of various wrestling promotions, winning more than 40 consecutive fights. In 1935 he defeated Jim Londos, one of the most famous wrestlers of the era, to win the New York State Athletic Commission World Heavyweight Championship, which was also recognized by the National Wrestling Association, NWA. O'Mahony's victory over Londos was a significant upset, as Londos had been the champion for more than 5 years at that point. On 30th of July 1935 in Boston's Braves Field, before an estimated crowd of 65,000, O'Mahony defeated Ed Don George for the American Wrestling Association's World Heavyweight Championship. This unified the 3 major titles of the time, but not without some controversy. It was claimed that the referee, the World Heavyweight Boxing Champion, James Braddock, was an inexperienced referee and had counted George out too quickly. Nevertheless, Danno's win meant he was the undisputed world champion. At the time of O'Mahony's wrestling career, it was essential that a wrestler had their own signature move, so Danno went on to develop what would become known as the Irish Whip. The Irish Whip is a popular professional wrestling move that has its origins in Ireland, the homeland of many of the early professional wrestlers in the United States. The move involves grabbing an opponent by the wrist or arm and whipping them towards the ropes, causing them to rebound off the ropes and back towards the wrestler who initiated the move. The Irish Whip is a fundamental move in professional wrestling and is used in many different types of matches and situations. It can be used to set up moves such as a clothesline, drop kick, or even slams, or to wear down an opponent by forcing them to run back and forth across the ring. The move can also be used as a counter to an opponent's attack. It allows the wrestler to quickly change the momentum of the match. The Irish Whip is credited to Danno O'Mahony, who popularised the move during his career, and today the move is used by wrestlers of all nations and is a staple of professional wrestling. By 1936, Danno's popularity began to wane. Promoters had become dissatisfied with the unified title arrangement, as it meant only one promoter could book the champion at a time. So O'Mahony began to encounter double crosses, where promoters would hire shooters or wrestlers who planned to injure their opponents to wrestle O'Mahony. During a bout when he learned of an opponent that had planned to hook him and cause injury, Danno and his manager walked out, which led to him being stripped of his NWA title. He continued to wrestle, even still being recognised as the American Wrestling Association's champion in Boston, but his record began to suffer more draws and losses, and in 1938 he went back to Ireland to promote professional wrestling there. This was short-lived, and he soon returned to the US, moving to Los Angeles to open a restaurant and to wrestle locally. Danno O'Mahony died on the 3rd of November 1950 from injuries suffered in a car accident while travelling from Dublin to Ballydehob. He was 38 years old. Overall, Danno O'Mahony was a legendary Irish wrestler who dominated the sport during the 1930s. His impressive strength and technical skill, along with his aggressive wrestling style, made him one of the top wrestlers of his time, and his signature move, the Irish Whip, became a staple in the wrestling world. Despite his success, O'Mahony never forgot his roots, and he remained proud of his Irish heritage throughout his life. He often returned to Ireland to visit his family and friends, and he was well known and respected in both Ireland and the United States for his wrestling career and his contributions to the sport.